Hi, warm greetings to all of you. Welcome to the Quiet Resonance, a channel that shares knowledge for comprehensive personal development through books. Looking back on the past, I know you've been through a lot. Endless work, after-hours classes, unavoidable social activities, countless moments of frustration and heartache. You can't even count how many times you felt discouraged, thinking that your job is too exhausting. You feel fed up and think, I don't want to do this anymore. You know clearly that you don't like this job, but next month's groceries, the rent for the following month, an elderly mother, young children, these reasons don't allow you to quit. When you hear encouraging words out there like, follow your dreams, do what you love, it fills you with motivation at first. But soon after, you're left with a sea of uncertainty. Because many people genuinely don't know what they truly want to do or whether it's a dream worth pursuing. So, facing a job you don't like, many people just show up, clock in, wait for the end of the shift. No need to give your all, just do enough to get by and wait for the monthly paycheck. This repetitive cycle leaves you feeling tired, bored, and even miserable. The truth is, life is incredibly short, but not all of us can pursue our dreams. There are too many obstacles and worries that make us feel life is tasteless, lacking meaning. So, what should we do to overcome this boredom? How can an ordinary person make life meaningful? How can we experience a life worth living? For this most perplexing question of life, a 90-year-old woman has provided an answer. That is Mrs. Nakamura Tsuneko, the author of the book I want to share with you today, Worthwhile World. The original Japanese title translates roughly to, The Habit of Reconciling with Your Heart and Doing Things Well. Nakamura Tsuneko is the oldest psychologist in Japanese history. Born in 1929, this woman has worked diligently and tirelessly for 70 years, and at 90, she still has no intention of stopping. She's not a professor, nor has she published any academic papers. In fact, she's very ordinary. By many people's standards, she might not even be qualified to write a book, nor was it necessary for her to do so. A book written by an ordinary person might seem like chicken soup for the soul. Honestly, before reading this book, I had some concerns about that. But after reading it, I was utterly amazed because I realized I could learn so many valuable life philosophies from Mrs. Nakamura. An elderly woman who has lived through the smoke of war and the changes of eras, she has seen through almost everything in life. Through nearly a century of spiritual practice and experience, she remains full of vitality, able to say in the end, I could die without regrets. Worthwhile World is like a small philosophy book about how to live, written with her 90 years of life experience. It offers sincere advice on work, relationships, and happiness to guide you through life's difficult phases. Ultimately, it helps you realize that, no matter what, you absolutely can live a meaningful and worthwhile life. Working for money is natural, there's nothing to be ashamed of. As the ancients said, people die for wealth, birds die for food. But often, whether the attitude of working for money brings negative or positive outcomes depends on our mindset. Mrs. Nakamura was born in a rural area of Japan, in a family with 5 siblings. Her father was an ordinary elementary school teacher. With so many children, not everyone could go to university. Like many families in her area, her parents' favoritism was always directed toward the sons. As a daughter, she didn't even have the right to choose her own life. At 16, she faced 2 paths. Either get married or fend for herself. At that time, Japan was desperately short of psychologists. An uncle of hers who ran a clinic in Osaka said that if anyone wanted to become a doctor, he would cover all their tuition costs. Mrs. Nakamura saw this as an opportunity to study without having to work early. So, she decided to leave her hometown for Osaka. In the end, she passed the university entrance exam, completed her studies, and became a doctor. From her educational journey, it's clear that choosing to become a psychologist wasn't driven by passion or interest but because she couldn't refuse the opportunity life had given her. Deep down, she didn't like the job. But she had to keep working to support herself and her family. And if she didn't become a doctor, she didn't know what else she could do. This caused her immense inner conflict and pain. In contrast, her two younger brothers had much easier lives. They were supported by their parents, got to do work they loved, and earned high salaries. Faced with such different life paths, she felt deeply resentful but also helpless. In reality, many of us are in the same situation as the author. We don't like our jobs but rely on the income to survive. Not everyone who graduates high school knows what they truly want to do. After struggling to find a job and getting hired, you realize the work doesn't suit you. There's no such thing as a perfect job in this world. Every job comes with unavoidable pressures. To secure a deal, you might have to smile, bow, nod, and try your hardest to deal with the most difficult clients. To maintain a full-time job, you have to dive into rush hour every morning, rain or shine, and can't afford to miss a day, even when sick. Every job has parts that make us unhappy. But when pushed to the extreme, people can suddenly feel a sense of relief. Mrs. Nakamura soon had an epiphany. If thinking about the purpose of your work makes you feel discouraged and miserable, it's better to firmly tell yourself, I'm just working to earn money to support myself. Working for money isn't shameful, it's completely natural. In her over 70 years as a consulting psychologist, Mrs. Nakamura heard countless complaints from patients. They were frustrated and exhausted by their current jobs. But in reality, they didn't realize that the reason their work caused such suffering was that they hadn't understood the essence of work from the start. The author says that no matter what job it is, at its core, people work to live. In other words, supporting yourself and your family is the primary purpose of work. You know, we spend more than half our lives working. If you set expectations too high or overthink, you'll easily become disappointed and anxious. When you're bound by things like salary, status, fame, or recognition, you'll blindly care about others' opinions, tones, and gazes. You'll worry about anything that makes you uncomfortable or anything unsatisfactory at work. Over time, you'll feel suffocated and exhausted. If this continues for decades, sooner or later, your job will erode you and drown you in a sea of suffering. The author advises that we don't need to place too many expectations on work. Whether you're a new employee or a seasoned one, don't overthink the tasks your boss assigns. Just try to do them well first. When you frown and think, this job isn't right for me, no matter who you are, that thought will only increase your anxiety and make you want to give up. So, whenever you face any task, maintain a mindset of giving it a try first. Don't give up too soon, see it as an opportunity to refine yourself. Even if you can't love your job, at least eliminate the thought of hating it and try to do your best. Before turning 88, Mrs. Nakamura worked 6 days a week, and every day was busy. Many people saw this and thought she must love her job. But in reality, that wasn't the case. In her 20s, she worked to support herself. After marriage, work was the foundation for building her family life. So, she was determined to keep working. She went through decades with this mindset. Day by day, work became a part of her. It allowed her to flow gently with life, letting it unfold naturally. For her, feeling tired because you're not doing a suitable job is entirely unnecessary. Because in a person's life, the chance of finding a job you truly love is like winning the lottery. Instead of constantly worrying, I haven't found my ideal job, it's better to work diligently at your current job first. And who knows, one day, you might find a job you enjoy more. In essence, whether life feels worthwhile, exciting, or boring depends entirely on whether you're willing to make peace with yourself. When faced with a fate that leaves you no other choice, it's better to accept it lightly, find joy in your work, and be enthusiastic about your career. Remember, we don't work to seek validation. Work is simply about earning money to continue experiencing life. When you're 70 or 80, you'll realize that winning or losing, glory or decline, are just passing clouds. They don't define your worth. There are many things far more important: your family, your health, your inner self. Having food to eat, clothes to wear, a roof over your head, a job to support yourself, that kind of life is already enough. When you come home from work, focus on doing your best in the tasks at hand and contributing to those around you without expecting recognition. This might bring wonderful surprises on the next stages of your journey. Sometimes, you need to decisively walk away. In reality, many people are straining to hold on to their current situation. I'm not young anymore. If I quit, what about my elderly mother, my young kids? I have to keep going. What will the environment and benefits be like at the next company? Can I find a better job than this one? As soon as these thoughts arise, the decision to quit is put on hold. Mrs. Nakamura advises us that if there's no way to change things, then work happily and give it your all. But if you're truly exhausted and have the ability to choose, then decisively leave. Among her patients, some were bullied at work, some were harassed by their bosses, some didn't even have time to sleep and had to work until midnight. Shockingly, these people didn't quit, even when they were physically and mentally drained. If you feel too distressed by your work environment and your health is declining, don't hesitate, stop at the right time. After all, the essence of work is to make a living. Companies and organizations are places that provide tools for others to earn money. If that tool is overly binding your precious life, it's truly not worth wasting your time on. However, I want to emphasize one thing. As mentioned in many previous videos, people advise you to follow your dreams and do what you love. But that doesn't mean blindly chasing emotions. You can only make active choices when you're fully prepared and ready to take responsibility for the consequences of your decisions. If you quit without knowing how you'll afford food or rent next month, or if you decide to leave your current job to open a shop or be your own boss but don't have enough capital and have to borrow money with interest, then you're still not fully prepared. As the book Sai Leon's Side Hustle Thinking points out, the way to prevent work from becoming a chain that binds your life is to run yourself like a company. Don't immediately abandon your main job. From a business perspective, this is an extremely risky move. A company can't rely on just one product for income. Typically, a company has a stable income source, then uses that money to develop other products. Running yourself is the same. Your salary is the stable income source for your company. You should take good care of this income source, then leverage its stability to develop a second income stream or save money for future opportunities to pursue another job. Therefore, courageously breaking free from your current fixed job can be a driving force to change your life. However, you need to take full responsibility and be prepared before making that decision. If not, happily accept your current situation. Any honest job can make money, but no job should make you miserable. The only thing that can wear you down is your own mind. Music. Don't strain yourself to live. Let yourself flow naturally. In swimming competitions, we often hear the crowd cheering, "Come on, push harder." People often mistakenly think that by exerting all your strength against the water, you can overcome its resistance and quickly reach the other side. However, fluid dynamics proves that the more force you use, the slower you go. The nature of water is that the force you apply to it is returned to you in equal measure. Life is like a river. If you relax and go with the flow, you can move forward more easily. In the book Life Doesn't Need Too Much Effort by Yuki Takahashi, there's a very apt saying, There are two common regrets in life. One is not doing what you could have. The other is exerting too much effort. Effort is a prerequisite for success, but straining too much backfires. When you finish reading this book, you'll see that the author lives with a remarkable sense of ease. This gentle flow allowed her to experience over 90 years of a worthwhile life. So, how can you glide with the flow of life without straining, yet still move forward easily? According to the author, first, let go of unnecessary baggage. Mrs. Nakamura believes that the unnecessary baggage weighing you down and making your steps heavier is expectations. The first baggage to discard is excessive expectations of yourself. Others can do it, so I must achieve it too. I must succeed to make my family proud. In reality, the root cause of straining to meet your own expectations is that you're envying someone else's life or constantly comparing yourself to others. When young, setting expectations to motivate hard work isn't bad. But as you mature, you must learn to understand yourself and gradually let go of thoughts like, I want to achieve more and more. Because whether it's a life of advancement or a simple life, with or without children, if you only compare yourself to others, you'll never find the right answer. As a psychologist, Mrs. Nakamura saw clearly that many patients who seemed to have enviable lives were hiding unspoken pain inside. A successful company owner was physically and mentally exhausted, facing relationship issues and indescribable loneliness. A beautiful young woman with a talented husband and well-behaved children lost friendships due to envy, leading to insomnia. Another woman married into a wealthy, prestigious family but felt miserable due to conflicts with her mother-in-law. From over 70 years of working with diverse life stories, she deeply realized that those who appear prosperous and successful often face more complex personal relationship pressures than ordinary people. Life's troubles don't disappear as wealth and status increase. So, instead of envying others and comparing yourself, forcing yourself to move forward and acquire this or that, only to end up anxious and miserable, it's better to accept your current circumstances and confidently move forward at your own pace. Mrs. Nakamura believes that others have their lives, and you have your own path. In over 70 years of work, she never compared herself to others. She didn't care if a younger doctor in her unit had a higher position. She wasn't resentful when colleagues performed better than her. She believed that satisfaction with life isn't determined by outsiders, and she never chased a life like anyone else's. Only this way can we live a truly worthwhile life. In the book The Courage to be Disliked, it said, whether we're ahead or behind doesn't matter. The truth is, we're all walking on a path with no vertical axis. We keep moving forward but don't compete with anyone. Your value lies in constantly surpassing yourself. When you live true to your own worth, not forcing yourself to meet expectations out of envy, even if you only shine like a firefly, illuminating just a small corner of life, that life is already truly worthwhile. Besides expectations of yourself, the second baggage to discard is expectations of others. If only my parents treated me better. Why doesn't my child listen to me? Why does he always do things like this? Such desires will always be a chaotic mess occupying your mind. At 27, the author got married through an arranged match. But later, living together, she discovered her husband was an alcoholic. Whatever money he earned, he spent on himself, leaving her to shoulder the family alone. In the era Mrs. Nakamura lived in, divorce was rare, and children of divorced parents faced criticism. For the happiness of her children and her own physical and mental health, she had no choice but to adjust her mindset. She lowered her expectations of her husband to the point that as long as they could stand side by side and speak at their children's weddings, they were still husband and wife. After setting this goal, she could fully relax. In her, you'll see that patience is different from endurance. She said, life often requires patience. If you understand this truth, you won't keep trying to endure but will think about how to make yourself more comfortable. When her second son was 5, she returned to work at the hospital and entrusted her parents to care for her children. But after her parents took control of the family, other issues kept arising. The way the children were raised was decided by her parents. They even let her younger brother, who was in university, live with them. This led to constant conflicts between her husband, and her parents. Work was overwhelming, life was chaotic. If she demanded too much, everyone would collapse. At this point, she could only lower her expectations of others and set limits for herself. In the worst case, reaching a barely average level was enough. She didn't expect her children to be raised perfectly. She didn't expect her work to be outstanding. She didn't hope for harmony between her parents and husband. She just needed to reach a barely average level and let the rest flow naturally. In the end, that difficult period passed. In 10 years, she became an excellent psychologist professionally, and her children grew up well. Later, when her children started their own families and had kids, her husband, as he aged, became gentler and turned into a good grandfather. Indeed, we all hope for a harmonious marriage, a happy family, 3 delicious meals a day, and peaceful seasons. However, an ordinary person's life is often unstable and full of chaos. Facing this reality, we can't fight against it but can only let things flow naturally. By lowering expectations of others, not making things hard for yourself, and not forcing those around you, you follow the rule of this world. Aim high, you get the middle. Aim for the middle, you get the low. Aim low, you get nothing. When you don't achieve what you want, greed, anger, and ignorance arise. Therefore, stop demanding, reduce expectations, and don't indulge in the illusion that everyone and everything will go your way. This is the wisdom of living a truly worthwhile life. To easily let go of the burden called expectations, the best way is to live with low desires and embrace solitude. Mrs. Nakamura is someone who doesn't chase anything beyond the basic necessities of life. She dresses neatly and politely, without carrying expensive bags or wearing luxurious accessories. She doesn't pursue gourmet food or have a desire to shop. She says, if you and your family are healthy, full of energy, and have a close friend to talk to, you don't need anything more extravagant. After so many years of life, she clearly understands, in this world, no environment or person can satisfy you 100%. Even if you enter what you think is the ideal workplace, after a while, there will be things that make you frustrated. Even if you marry the person you think is perfect and happiest, later on, there will be things you find hard to accept. In reality, whether it's parents, family, friends, or lovers, others won't always care about you. Even a child you love wholeheartedly will become independent and start their own life when they grow up. Even someone you pour your heart into loving might leave you. So, for all the people you meet in this world, the best way to harmonize with what you want is, when they come, be happy. When they go, let go. In the book 6 Lectures on Loneliness, it said, solitude is the start of a fulfilling life. If you don't have experience being alone, you won't know how to connect with others. Forcing yourself to let go of some baggage might make you feel insecure and afraid of being alone. But when you embrace solitude, you won't expect too much from others. When you reduce your desires, you won't bother comparing yourself to the world anymore. This way, your life will have fewer chains binding you, and you can live freely, in harmony with yourself and those around you. No matter what you encounter, everything is worthwhile. One of the quotes that stayed with me from this book is, life is a journey you only move forward in, never back. So, be grateful for every scene you see along the way. This is also the life lesson I've learned over the years. Be grateful for everything that comes and goes in your life. Living with gratitude, no matter how tough or boring your work is, you'll cherish every moment. You're grateful that at the very least, this stable job allows you to sustain your life. Living with gratitude, you'll have faith and feel the subtle warmth of the faint lights in life. As Haruki Murakami said, you must remember those who held an umbrella for you in the heavy rain, who hugged you quietly in the dark, who made you laugh, who talked with you through the night. Whether they're someone who cares for you or a stranger you've never met, you'll remember the help they gave you. You'll recall their presence and contributions that allowed you to continue experiencing this life. Whether what you receive is bitter or sweet, you'll no longer hold grudges or calculate gains and losses when others ask you for trivial, unreasonable favors at work. Just focus on doing your current tasks well, contributing to those around you, becoming a reliable person in work and life. Then, you'll prove what the English writer Ruskin said is absolutely true: doing your best for others is ultimately the best thing for yourself. However, you need to note, take on tasks proactively, not to deliberately please others. Sometimes, you need to recognize whether you're helping someone to achieve something. Then, know how to say no at the right time. Finally, when you live with gratitude, you won't sigh in the face of difficulties but will thank these challenges for sharpening your will. Mrs. Nakamura believes that everything has two sides. Painful experiences expand human nature, like muscles that need training and stretching. Life's rewards won't appear immediately, but in every moment, there's surely something to cherish. Be grateful for life without expecting too much from it. No matter what, you'll see that the world is worthwhile, and we're living a life worth living. Thank you for listening. If you find this video helpful, please share it with those who need it. Don't forget to give me a like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell to catch the latest videos every week. Once again, thank you, and see you in the next videos.